I plug it in and war. Pull the plug, pull the plug. I just got a PC for 30 bucks on eBay. 30s. I wasn't just surprised. I was stunned because the exact model usually sells for around $130. And of course, there's a catch. It's water damage and won't pose. The seller spelled it out plain as day. But I hit buy now anyways. On faith, a bit of strap-on optimism and the kinds of battle scale experience you only earn by receiving large costs. Today, we're tearing these downest machines down to the skrill and fighting to bring it back from the dead. If this works, it might be the best $30 I ever spent. Let's go! This one is a Dell Vostro 3650s. On the outside, nothing to write home about. So let's dive inside. And yeah, that crusty layer of most pretty much confirmed it. This thing really did go underwater. The good news, the motherboard actually looked fairly clean, like someone gave a quick wipe down before toasting it on eBay. But before we even think about power it on, we are tearing it down and checking every inch to make sure it's 100% dry. Only then do we find out if this machine still had a heartbeat. Everything bone dry, no moisture under the sockets, no corrosions on the slots. Time to find out if this thing got a plus. First up, motherboards, CPU and RAM. Before I even think about powers, I do a quick ice bowl check. Capacitors, port, the socket, making sure it's nothing blocking, corroded, dusty, or hiding straight debris. Okay, we bring in a no goods. PSU. This board uses quirky 8-pin main powers, so I'm running the 24-pin to 8-pin adapters. Moment of the truth. Power on. The CPU cooler spins, but the keyboard lets stay dark. Not great. That screams CPU on memories. Let's pull one DIMM and try single channels. Same deal. Okay, plan B. Pop the CPU, gently polish the contact pad with the white erasers. Do the same to the RAM's gold fingers. Resist everything, lock it down, and boom. Pulse! We're live again. Now I will drop the second stick back to see if it's still playing nice. Please, please. Yes, thank God, it's still live. So yeah, that means the Curbix might be this big. Long power supply. Let's see if it can still run. I plug it in and war! Pull the plug, pull the plug. Do you see that it's literally catching fires? My heart's firing up my chest. This straight up dangerous. Looks, smoke and powers of the PS2 like a teammate. I think it's time to say our final goodbye to this unit. Game over for the power supply. After surviving the worst moment of the day, it's time to see what actually left on this $30 survivor. First up, we got 2 sticks of RAMs, each 4GB, for a grand total of 8GB. Not bad for something that's look ready for dumpster. Not hard drive inside, truth. Just a lonely DVD drive. Trust me, nobody burning this shit in 2025. So that thing basically a relic. Let's clean off this thermal paste and find out what kind of brand this bit is running. Underneath, a Skylake era CPU, an Intel Core i3 6098P, 2-core Fortress. Clock lock at 3.6 GHz. Modest, but it's still perfectly capable for light gaming or retro rig. And hey, looks like we even have built-in villains. That's a pleasant surprise. Time to plug it in and see if the thing still connect the modern world. Finger crossed this $30 gamble keep paying up. Luck on my side again. It's alive and running like nothing ever happened. That alone make my 30 bucks feel totally worth it. But before we call it a win, these 50Ks need a serious cleanup. So while I'm drying off, I got another mission, finding a replacement for that smoke grenade of a power supply. Digging too much fat. I spotted Dell Multiplex SFS with 255W PSU. Perfect match for this setup. Swap it in, hit the grid, and boom, stable power. No firework this time. Everything smooth. Alright, moment of truth. Let's start putting Frankenstein back together piece by piece. As most of you already knows, an dual-core i3 with Fortnite isn't exactly a gaming powerhouse. It will handle light stuff, sure, but modern titles, not a chance. So, instead of wasting money chasing a faster GPU, I'm going to get a little help where it really matters, the GPU. Now, even these multiples use the FGA's 1151 socket. It also support 6-GAN chip. Upgrading to an E5 or E7 from the same era doesn't really move the needle that much. And honestly, it's just not worth the extra cost for a few extra frames. So, we're keeping the stock GPU and dropping to something that speed the bucket and the vibes. Enter the GTX 1050 Ti 2GB of vintage goodness. Now it's finally time to enjoy the sport of this $30 gamble, and honestly, the sheer courage is to keep plugging this thing in every time. Let's see just how far this little survival can push it. How many frames per second can we squeeze out of it in today's game? First on the list, Valorant. Running at low settings, full HD resolutions, this thing actually put it up smoother than I expect. The FPS you see right now is during deathmatch modes, which absolutely hammer the CPU. Seeing these competitive shooters and the games learn heavily on single core performance, and our poor little dual core E3 is grabbing for airs. Peak FPS hits around 160, but it doesn't stay there long. NPC heavy moments, frame can dip as low as 20 FPS when the CPU starts choking. Now here where it gets interesting. The GPU still had plenty of breathing room. So I cranked the setting up to mediums to shift some of that load off the CPU and onto our graphic card. And guess what? Total game changer. Frame rates, stability comfortably in triple digits, and the nasty drop all but disappeared. It's not perfect, but for $30 the rescue build, that are victories in my book. Next up, another shooter, but this time one that only flexes its graphic muscle, Counter-Strike 2. I'm keeping things on low settings and right out of the gate, the system boosting just enough frame to make it playable for an FPS. CPU and GPU usage runs around pretty evenly. Truth, the CPU definitely show a bit of strain here. We are averaging around 60 FPS, which is bare mediums for smooth gameplay, but during smoke fight or heavy actions, it can dip into 40s. Not ideal, but honestly, not terrible either. Next up, a toucher's challenge, Fortnite. We're running in performance modes at 1080p, and right from the start, the pool CPU shows its limits. It's patched at 100% usage the entire match, trying its absolute best to keep up. Frame rate occasionally spikes fast, 90 FPS, but the moment thing gets busy, explosions built on multiplayer on screen, the CPUs just can't hold the lines. Next up, a game that everyone knows, Minecraft. Still at 1080p, and right away, the frame rate looks solid, crashing around 130 FPS when I'm gliding to the skies. But the moment I start detonating TNT, oh boy, the CPU just waved the white flag. FPS tanks straight out to a single frame per second, total slideshow mode. Then I decide to test its limits, turn on the shaders, and instantly, FPS dropped to around 20s, playable but rarely. Let's be real, this PC isn't built for the picky gamers or graphic junkies. Now for GTA 5, the real test of survival. I dropped the settings so low, it could feel like going back to 2013. 720p, everything on low, just praying it wouldn't crash. And guess what? It's run, not fast, not smooth. We are talking 20 to 30 FPS, but it's still live. The city loads, the car move, explosion actually happened in real life. Well, almost. It's like watching an old actor step back on stage. A little showers, a little rough around the egos, but it's still delivering the lines. And that's it. Our $30 miracle machine survived the storm, the stuck, and the stress test. It's not perfect, but it's proof that even junk can come back to life with a little patience and luck. What should I talk about next? Another upgrade? Or talk a game? Drop your ideas in comments below.